back everyone on this part 2 of learning JavaScript. We were actually discussing about this conditional statements, and we have started learning about this in our chapter 5. So this is chapter 5 and this will be part 2. Now let's continue on where we left off. Now the basic thing that we were talking about was the comparison operators. The first comparison operators that we looked at has been the equality operator. So we learned about the difference in between this equality operator and this assignment operator. Now there is another operator that is called the identity operator. So this identity operator, you might know that it actually has the symbol of 3 equals to sign. So there is a very fundamental difference between this identity operator and the equality operator. So equality operator has 2 equals to sign and the identity operator has 3 equals to sign. So the first one that we'll be looking into is the equality operator, and then we'll also look into the identity operator. So for the first part, what I forgot to mention about was the conditional statement. There are actually 2 types. The first type has the format of if condition, then executing a block of code inside this curly braces. So we haven't yet written any sort of codes inside our if statement. So let's keep something, let's provide a comment so we can understand that there is a block, code goes here. So what this actually literally seems like is that if this condition inside this bracket is met, or if this condition is true, then and only then execute this block of code. Unless this condition inside this bracket is not met, if it's not met, then this block of code won't be executed by the compiler, so your programs will execute in a different manner. Now, when I talk about this command being true, I actually mean that it follows the rule of Boolean mathematics. If you're aware of this Boolean, the Boolean very simply has 2 values. One is the true value and the other one is the false value. So this false, if this condition is meant to be true, then the block of code inside is executed, and if it's false, if this condition is not met, then this block of code won't be executed. So it literally reads something like this: if the value inside this visitor variable is equivalent or equal to the right hand operand, which is a numeric value of 21, then and only then execute the block of code that we provide inside. So we haven't yet written anything in here, and let's see how this behaves in our browser. So I've actually changed a little bit in here. I've turned this, I think you have seen this as a numeric value earlier like this, but you can actually see the difference in between an identity operator and the equality operator by providing 2 sorts of values or 2 types of values. So the first thing that we're looking at is we'll be providing a string on the right as the right hand operand for our as the left hand operand, sorry, for our equality operator, and a numeric value. It will have a string value, this visitor, and the right hand operand will have a numeric value. So this conditional statement, this if statement, will evaluate it first, evaluate the condition first, then it will produce something on our browser. So let's write a simple alert comment. So if this condition is met, if the first condition is met, then and only then the alert function will produce something on our browser. Until then it won't produce anything. So let us write something. This is equality operator, and it has been executed. So there we go. So let us first see how this behaves in our browser, and then I'll explain it what happens behind the scenes. So you need this HTML file. Remember that no JavaScript file can run by itself. It needs an HTML layout or a markup language file. Now I forgot to include the head part, head tags. Remember to indent your code because it makes it easier to read the code, and remember to include as much comment as possible because it helps your fellow programmers or your fellow team members when you're developing application in a team. It will help them to understand your code better, and if others provide evaluative comments, then you'll be able to understand their codes better. So it's better that you provide as much as comments possible. So let's save this and let's open this up in our browser. So you can see this alert function has been executed successfully. This is equality operator and it has been executed. So what happens behind the scene actually? Behind the scene it's quite different. Why is it different? The main difference between this equality operator and the operator that we know as identity has a fundamental or a core difference inside JavaScript. So this we provided a string value, stored a string value inside this variable. Now the string value, when the compiler looks at the value inside this variable, it sees that it's a string value, and on the right hand it sees a numeric value. So what it does at the first instance is that it converts this string. It reads that it has got a number, it has got a numeric value housed inside the strings. So it converts this primitive value of string to a numeric value of 21, and it replaces this variable name or the identifier with the numeric value of 21, something like this. And then it sees that the right hand operand is also a numeric value, so both of them are equal. So 21 is equal or equivalent to the right hand operand of numeric of 21. So this condition is resulted into a true Boolean value. So if this condition is true, which is true obviously, then execute this alert function. So we see this alert function popping up. Now what happens if we actually provide the identity operator that has got the 3 equals to sign or the symbol? Now let's replace this with this visitor identifier, and let's add another equals to sign, and let's save this. Now what happens if we just open this up in our browser? Now in here you see something different. So when we use the equality operator, the alert function got printed on our browser. It popped up when we launched this Safari browser. Now when we included or changed our equality operator to an identity operator, we are not seeing any sort of alert functions. Why is that? Because this identity operator does not convert the string value into a numeric value. It keeps the string value as it is. So it checks whether both the values stored inside this variable is same as the right hand operand, and it also checks whether this value is equal, or the type, the primitive type that we discussed about integer, the number, the string, the boolean, those, which is if it's equal, if the type, this primitive type is equal with the right hand operand, then and only then this will be evaluated, or this will be executed. So this if condition, this condition in this if statement actually renders or results into a Boolean value of false. So when this is false, this block of code gets it is not executed on our browser, so we don't see anything popping up when we launch our Safari. So that's the basic main difference. So what it does is that you need to remember that the equality operator with 2 equals to sign converts any other primitive value with the right-hand operand if the type or the primitive type is different, but the identity operator does not convert anything. It checks whether the value is same, and it also checks whether the data type is same. So if both of this is met, then and only then the program or the block of code gets executed. Now we'll be talking about just the opposite part or the opposite operators right now. So this equality operator has got that we know as inequality operator. This is the opposite of the equality operator. So this inequality operator reverses the condition.